So the occasion of this, for any of you who are guests, is it's so empowering to think about the heritage that many of us get to come from.
Mhm.
And that heritage is, we call this the OPA Associates Call. And some people from the outside are, maybe kind of forgotten what that means. It's one of the things I'm going to focus on, and that is the power of community and connection. But the reason for that name came up at the time that I was very early sponsored with Mary and Gary Loomis personally. And they were living in the Beverly Hills. I was in Santa Monica. And I was introduced to Shackley that, we almost had to advertise that the literature was terrible because the products were great. There was no marketing to talk about. But I clearly remember the vision that Mary said, there will be a time when this business will grow beyond the point where people will say you're in the Loomis organization. And so her decision was to create a family name for us, which is called Organic Products Associates. So OPA is the family name. It's the heritage name of all the people that come under the umbrella of the Loomis organization, which, as I recall, last time I saw was, I think, 10 different master coordinators. And so many of you represent some of those others. In that case, many of us are cousins, but we're all in partnership in our Shackley business. And so with thanks to Rob, who's been the face of the business for a while, he finished Harvard Law School and practiced as an attorney, and then was a, I don't know, college professor and all kinds of other things. And so one of the things that he helps us do is have individual hosts for this meeting each month. So I have the honor of being hosted this month. And we're going to do some input because I'd like to just start out with a restatement of purpose that has been helpful for me. And then we're going to bring in Julie, our guest, and get some input. And my restatement of purpose after several decades of the business is how important it is for us to have a personal grounding of why are we doing what we're doing. And every one of us can have a different way of saying that. But for me, what I've narrowed it down to is I see in this world with lots of confusion and chaos and changes going on, that there are three definite things that each one of us gets to take charge of in no special order. But one of them is our own health. And actually, all three of these things are things we don't have to pay much attention to until we don't have them. So when we have them, we kind of take them for granted. But the first one is our own health. And why is that important? Well, generationally, whether we take care of ourselves or not, we may be impacting the generations that follow us, because if we become unhealthy or somehow infirm, we may very well be impacting those younger generation who now are caring for us. And at the same time, we may need extra energy to be caring for someone of a senior generation, to say nothing of the fact that we're role modeling for those that follow us, whether it's kids or grandkids or whatever it is, our community. So our health is that much more important. And on top of that, if people thought that their insurance was going to bail them out, that certainly is up in the air for lots of people. So health is one of the big issues. Number two is, we can call it finances, you can call it income, you can call it whatever you want. But the key point about this is not just being able to maybe offer somebody the opportunity to make a couple of $100 extra in order to purchase some of the products that help to keep them healthy and to make some extra money. But it may also be having a larger vision. And the larger vision that I can speak to as a liberal arts person who had never had any business background is the enormous opportunity and challenges of understanding money, finances, taxes, legal status, and so on. Because we can all sit back as lay people and go, those guys are flying around in their jets all around the world and getting a tax write-off, and I'm at home. And what we don't realize is I didn't write the rules, I didn't make the laws, but we get to be educated and responsible for the fact that some of those things may very well impact us. And I love the example at the very beginning of one of our tax books that says, if you do not have a personal business, you're brain dead. I mean, that's the introduction to the whole tax law. If you don't have an outside personal business, you're brain dead. And those are not conversations that happen commonly, but those are things that many of us on this call can understand, because we have the opportunity to convert some of our after-tax expenses or pre-tax expenses to things that may be after tax, that may be dealing with family or travel or, gifts or whatever it is. But it's important for us to have a sense of those things. So that's number 2, is finances, legal, whatever you want to call it.
Carolyn, you are muted.
I must have hit something. I'm sorry. Thank you. I must have hit something while I'm talking with my hands. Thank you. So number 3, maybe one of the fundamentals for all of us that we're going to focus on tonight. And that is, in this world of extraordinary technology, connectivity, social media, all the rest of that, the fact that people can be extremely scattered in their connections means that there are 2 things that they're really looking for. They're getting exhausted by that. Maybe they haven't yet, but they will get exhausted by it. And what they're looking for is connection in a community, and they're looking for trust. So the bottom line is, when they sort out all the different things that they hear from wherever, the bottom line is when they can look face to face with someone and say, Kathy, what do you suggest? And Kathy will, because we trust Kathy, Kathy will say, tell me what you've been looking at, and I can tell you what my experience is. This is what I've done. This is what I trust. And this is why. Is that helpful? And that's what people are looking for, to sort out the traffic. So the reason I use that as a fundamental for us is that what we get to do tonight is, Julia's done a wonderful job with some resources. And the focus on this for me is, how do we connect and communicate with people that we may already know, people that we may be bringing into our world, people that may or may not already be customers, but how do we use these kinds of tools in order to create those connections as a community so that we get to be that trusting person. And of course, the bottom line of all of this is the tool that we have is the width of our Shackley business to support people with health, to support people with financial education and access, and to support people with the community. I was really touched on last weekend when we were in the event on the west coast of Florida, when one of the business leaders in another group came up to me and said, I just miss my Shackley family so much. This is so great to have this community together. I just really miss them. And that spoke to me as like a real reminder of why it's so important. It's not even anybody that's in my group or I necessarily talked to, but it was like, that was really validating. So with that long introduction, which I hope is helpful for this, I want to introduce Julie. Now, Julie Blossom Hunt is a colleague in the business. She has a key coordinatorship. She has been in the business with her business has been in place for over 50 years. So she's a legacy leader. She's also clearly a very talented graphic person who comes up with great things. But I think she's got a lot of wisdom in her experiences with her business. And I would like to use this opportunity to show some of the tools that she's made available, talk about how she's using them. And I know some of you on the call have also got some experience with that. So I want that to be interactive so we can share that. But let me just stop first and say, does that introduction, is that a helpful background for us on why we're doing what we're doing tonight? Does that help to fit? This isn't just like, oh, we want to have another thing, but I think it's very important to understand how this fits together. So with that background, and welcome to Hannah and Ellen Sherpin, our colleague masters, and many of the others. I don't see everybody, but welcome to you guys. So let's please welcome Julie Blossom Hunt with gratitude. And if you would like to take over by showing us, tell us a little of your story, show us what you have, and then bring in, because you see many of the people on the call, some people who you've already had connection with and what they've used. So welcome, Julie. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn, for that wonderful introduction. It's a privilege to be here with all of you tonight. For those of you that don't know me, I'm coming to you from mid-Michigan. And as Carolyn mentioned, I'm a second-generation Shackley kid. So when I was 10 years old, my parents, Dr. Dave and Joy Blossom were my parents. My dad was a chiropractor, and he was looking for the best quality nutritional products he could use to support his patients. And long story short, they found Shackley and jumped right in, super excited to be part of Shackley. And we are part of the Gary and Faye Burke organization. We're second level to them and first level to Barb Hill Lorenz. And I grew up babysitting Barb's kids while she would come and do meetings. I take care of her kids while she was with my parents doing other meetings. So it's been a privilege to be part of Shackley since I was 10 years old. So do the math. Yes, I'm 60. And it really has been a privilege. And in 2010, I'll make it really short. I was living in California. Barb had called me to say she noticed some decline in my parents' business. At that point, my mom was suffering with Alzheimer's, and my dad was very busy taking care of her at home and running his practice. And Barb asked if I would be interested in coming alongside with them in their business. Now, one thing those of us that have been in Shackley a long time know is you can kind of go into maintenance mode, right? Your business will just kind of ride along, even if you're not paying attention to that. And that is what was happening with their business. And Barb said to me, Julie, their business will long outlive them. Even if we do nothing, it'll just roll along past the age of your parents or past when they pass on. So we have two other options. One would be to sell their business or have someone in the family come alongside them in the business. And so I decided to do that. At that point, I was a busy mom raising two girls in California. Most of our organization was in the Midwest. And so we decided to do that. I went to the conference in Anaheim like a month later. I think that was when they were introducing the Dream Plan. So got great exposure there. And then in October, we had a team gathering. Gary Burke was here, Barb was here, kind of a passing of the torch of my parents' business to me. And the next week, my dad died of a stroke unexpectedly. So it's all about what Carolyn was saying, protecting your finances. Okay. So the day that my dad stopped treating patients, the income from his chiropractic practice ended. I'm not a chiropractor, but I could come into the Shackley business and could carry that on. So that's the beauty of what we do. And many of you, as I look around the room here tonight, you understand that. But it's also important to kind of protect that legacy that you have, keep it going and keep it strong for the next generation. So then in 2000, 2013, no, yeah, 2013, I moved back to Michigan to be closer to our organization and to work with them. And one of the things that I've noticed is I do have kind of a bit of an aging demographic in our organization. And they're wonderful people who've done a great job serving their customers, but they are not the people that are going to jump online and be social media influencers. Many of you can relate to what I'm talking about there. And they need tools to be able to still connect with their customers, still stay engaged with them, right? But don't expect them to necessarily build only on social media. So this led me to, just in the last year, starting something that I call Learn to Live Well, which was a way to provide tools and assets for not only my business leaders in my organization, but many of you that are on the call tonight have chosen to jump in and participate in some of those. And things that you can use either by email, some things by text, some things you can just print out. If you have customers like I still do, that like to come pick up their orders, it's nice to give them something, some kind of a product sheet or a newsletter in person for them to take home to kind of add value to them. So that's where this all started in the last year. And so let me share with you, if that's okay, a little bit of what this looks like. One moment here. Okay, let's get to the right screen. Okay. So I have a site that's called Learn to Live Well. Okay. And on here, you have a variety of tools that are available to you. And one thing that is a little bit different with this service that I offer compared to some other services out there is you pick and choose what you want, what you're interested in. And if it's not something you're interested in, you're not having to pay for it. One of the things that has really taken off in the last couple of weeks is this 2026 vision reset. And the way that came about was I had written an article for my business leaders newsletter, but how we kind of need to get out of maintenance mode. We need to rediscover our passion, kind of figure out what our priorities are in our business. And I wanted it to then turn into a tool because there was a lot of response to that. And that was where this the 2026 vision reset came from. Okay. I wanted it to be something that would be affordable for anyone, whether you're in the business for 2 years and you're only at 500 customer volume. It's something that's affordable for anyone to do. And it's to kind of go through, figure out your priorities, figure out what didn't serve you before. Okay. Something that sometimes we do things because it's what we've always done. And how can we change that? Okay. Then there's a monthly newsletter. Learn to Live Well newsletter each month that is focused on whatever the specials are from Shackley. There'll be product stories in there. There's always a recipe. I love cooking. And then there's something from the kitchen table, an article that's about healthy lifestyles. And it's a great way for you to connect with your customers. Now, many of you may say, well, I haven't done a newsletter in so long, or you've been working on your own, but you're not really happy with the way it looks. This is a very simple way for you to connect on the first of the month with your customers with the latest thing out there, right? Whatever the latest specials are for the month, these are always available on the first of the month by 10 o'clock in the morning for you to grab, and you can get it out to your customers, I promise, in 5 minutes or less. And I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. Another thing we have quite a few of are different heart health or nutrition guides that you can look at. One of the fun things I like to do is put an audio podcast with some of my tools. It's a great way for you to connect with someone who's very busy. Maybe it's a busy mom who's driving the kids to school and to soccer practice and won't take time to sit down and read something, but they'll listen to it. Carolyn was talking about connecting with people. And this Rooted in Connection guide came up from a conversation I was having with one of my sales leaders who was moving to a little bit more remote area in northern Michigan, wasn't going to really have great access to internet, but wanted to be able to connect the old-fashioned way. So this whole guide is about ways to connect in person, ideas for connection, things like hosting maybe a Saturday morning coffee hour on your porch to get to know your neighbors. Carolyn was saying we're so isolated from people now, right? We need to reconnect in person. Maybe you host on a Saturday, a book exchange in your driveway. There's lots of tips in there, ways to connect with people, kind of the old-fashioned way. Now, I also have a lot of business leaders who are struggling right at the 2,000 volume and are wanting a way to get to 3,500 or more solid directorship. So cultivating consistent growth, it breaks it down step by step on how to look at what you have in your business, where you can find other volume you can pull from there, and how to grow. But back to ways to connect with people. For those of you that were at the event last Saturday or a week ago Saturday in Florida, one of the things that was given out at the end was a set of product postcards. These may look familiar. I worked with Claudia Greenleaf, who was on the team there, and we put those together. And these are great ways to just connect simply with people on different product topics. You can print them off as a postcard. You can mail them out. You can give them to someone with an order. You can use them on social media if you want to. But lots of different tips like that. 3-minute educator series. These are a fun way to connect with your customers, even just through texting. It gives a topic of a product, 3 quick points for nutrition for them, and it's a great way to kind of educate people, but not in a heavy way. So those are some of the types of tools that I have. There's lots of different product sheets. I know some of you on here have taken advantage of some of those. So those of you that have grabbed some of those, would you be willing to kind of unmute and share with us which ones you've used and how you've used them?
Barb, you got some people, don't you?
Hi.
Yeah. Go ahead, Lisa.
Hi, Julie.
Hi,
Nice
Lisa.
to see you.
Great to
I
see you.
haven't really had a chance to dive into these too much, but I did purchase the 2026 Vision Reset, and I've got that
Okay.
printed out. And I know you're going to do some
3
training
workshops.
on that, which I'm unable to make any of those 3, but I love this, just looking through it for myself, just going back to why am I doing this? What are my goals? Reclaiming my why. And I love how you say releasing the maintenance mode, because I've been in maintenance mode for a really, really long time. Helps you to clarify your vision. I love that your materials focus a lot on the legacy and not so much on social media. I think that is something that we've gotten away from, and with COVID, we kind of stepped away from doing things in person, and I feel like your materials really create that opportunity to get together with people again. I really, really love that. The cultivating consistent growth, even though I'm not at 2,000, I hover between 5 and 6,000. I think anybody could use this just to take a look at where's my PV right now. It reminds me of some of the ways that I can grow, and that I need to be very intentional about looking at where can my PV come from, what events, and then estimating, what you would get from each one of those events. I think this is a really great resource. I was actually just trying to show it to my sister the other day, and we ran out of time. But I think for anybody, director and above, this is a fabulous resource. And it's like lots and lots of pages of things to do, and lots of, creating
Lots
a
of
rhythm.
ideas.
Yeah, lots of ideas. And then something you did not mention is your PowerPoint or your compensation plan
Presentation.
slides. Yeah, I'm telling you, this opportunity awaits Shackley compensation plan. Julie does an outstanding job with slides and notes on understanding the new plan. And I've really, really, really struggled with understanding the new plan. And I love just having this with me in front of me so that I can study it. I feel like I'm starting to get it. I'm not a very good just listener to. I have to look at it and study it and study it. And I think this has done a fabulous job with this. So
Yeah.
I highly recommend Julie's materials. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. I'm kind of anxious to maybe take a look at your newsletters too. So
Good. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you, Lisa. And I promise
yeah.
I didn't pay her to say all of that.
No, it was
That
just,
was
oh,
very kind.
they're so good. I mean, they're just really, really good. Yeah.
Thank you.
May I say something?
Yes, ma'am. Hi, Jan.
I was at the reboot weekend and I specifically loved the postcards.
Oh, good.
I mean, and I've been trying to figure out where can I get them? Or where's
Now
the
you know.
template for these things? Or, because they're really very good. And just by putting your sticker on them or handing them out at networking events, because I do those. I do a lot of those here in Miami. And I mean, they're just to the point. I think that you've done a fabulous job. I mean, you've got the new creatine one. You've got about the business opportunity. You've got the skincare. I mean, about the omegas and a basic age. And oh my gosh, yes, they're wonderful. You did a great job. So
Well,
nice
thank
to know where
you.
I can get them.
Thank you. Yep, you can download them there. And on there, if you go in to purchase the postcards, it does not include the postcards. It's just the graphics. You can have it printed at Staples or Office Depot or wherever you choose to send it off to. And you can choose to have them done just one side with the product on one side and not the other. And then you can write a message to a person on the back if you want to, or you can have a product on each side like we did for the event. So thank you, Jan. I'm so glad that you're enjoying those.
And
Alan, I
what's
saw
the
your,
website again? I'm sorry. What's the
oh, I
website?
will put that in the chat for you, and then you'll be able to go right there and find whatever you are needing. Okay. Alan, did you have your hand raised?
Yes, I was going to ask what Jan just said. Where do we get the stuff?
Where do you get this stuff? I will put that in the chat here. In just a second.
Sorry, the chat's off.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not seeing the chat. So what I will do is I'll pull up my store again, and you can just see that and grab the website. It's learn2livewell.sellfy.store. Learn2livewell.sellfy, SELLFY.store. Now there are presentations in here. There's one on thoughtsmanship. Carolyn, was that one that you were wanting me to share? Or maybe you and I had just talked about that the other day. You are muted, Carolyn.
I don't know, I'm learning what I'm touching. I don't have an agenda. I think
Okay.
it'd be great to continue to hear from some of the others because I know some of the others of you have used some materials. And
Perfect.
that will bring up some questions. And then yes, if we want to go to the thoughtsmanship, I think that'd be great.
Perfect.
Well, when I got started using them was, I guess, when you were really getting started putting them out, Julie.
Mhm.
That was maybe a year ago. And what impressed me first was that, we used to talk always about Shackleyizing your home. And in general, I don't hear that. And so we used to have some really nice, and I don't even remember where I got them, but some really nice product materials, like one sheet that was just beautiful, had all kinds of great information. And I always stuck them in people's orders. And Julie started offering some of those as free products in the beginning just to get people familiar with them. And so I would get them and I'd send them to our leader team saying, if you've got somebody you want to use this with, use them however you want.
Mhm.
And so that was, I thought, very important because it gives people an idea that we have something besides whatever the monthly special or specials happen to be. And I am not into the salesy type stuff. That's just not who I am. And when I've experimented a couple times with newsletters, and I use the ACT program that Carolyn was talking about earlier too, I've used that for years. What I have found was that people kind of draw back. It's like, wait a minute, that's not who we think you are. And I do not want to be known for somebody who's trying to shove things down people's throats. I want them to get them because it's something that they see benefit in for them, not because I'm trying to quote sell them something. And so I find Julie's materials are really, for me, oriented that way, the ones that I've been using. But that Shackley Shackleyizing your home thing was the first thing that hit me because I mean, that's why we've got the organizations we do, because people don't use just one or two things or one line of our products. They use a variety of things. And I think she presents a beautiful way to let people know those things are available, in addition, of course, to our talking about them.
Thank you,
And
Barb.
Barb, when you say Shackleyizing, are you referring to the product postcards
That, no, when
or
we started
whatever?
with them, she didn't even have those. She just
Yeah,
had,
well, those have been around for a couple of months, but they were hidden until after your Florida event. They were top secret until then.
Yeah.
But there have been thank you for saying that, Barb. There are
Sure.
individual product sheets that I was creating in the beginning. In fact, those are still free. The product sheets are free. I don't charge anybody for those. On different topics, there's one on B complex, one on vitamin E, Carotamax, Core Energy. Now, I don't have every product sheet out there because I just don't have all that time to create something for everything. But those were great ways, like you said, Barb, to introduce people to a product without feeling salesy, just giving them information about it. So a lot of those are still available. You can go in there and simply search product sheet, and all of those will come up for you. Now, one of the things that I didn't mention, and Carolyn, you and I had talked about having a cadence in your customer communication or connection. And one of the things I've encouraged my people to do is on the first of the month, get a newsletter out there so that they can know what the specials are, kind of see what the new products are. And then I'm a firm believer in pick up the phone and call people, right? So many people these days don't want to pick up the phone and call. So typically a couple of days after sending out my newsletter, I make a call to the people and see if they have any questions, kind of bring up a conversation about what happened in the newsletter and get some dialogue going back and forth. And then mid-month, I try to do a second touch with my customers. They need to hear from me. And it can be as simple as sending out one of those product sheets that are free. You just download it, then upload it into an email. It doesn't cost you anything, but it's a second touch. Or what I really kind of would love for people to do more of is I have something called Legacy Solutions. And this is a series of 16 newsletters. They're not dated. You can do them in any order that you want on 16 different health topics like women's health, heart health, brain health, healthy aging, mood support, and all of these of the legacy solutions take the term legacy again. They only reference long-term Shackley products. Okay, so one of my goals and one of my real passions is to keep the old school Shackley products around, and they don't get talked about that often, right? How often do you see an old school Shackley product talked about in an email from Shackley? How often does someone talk about lecithin or Herblax or something, right? You don't hear about them. So my legacy solutions, my heart behind that is to keep those products alive by keeping them in the conversation. Okay, sharing that information with your customers, but they're Shackley light. They're not, none of it is hard sell. Anyone that has seen my materials will realize there's nothing that's hard sell about it. But the legacy solutions are something you may want to consider for a mid-month touch. And if you did one middle of the month, it would take you a year and a half to work your way through them. So once we get a year and a half into this, I've got to write some more. But in the meantime, we've got a year and a half's worth for people to try to work on. So that I think it's really important to connect with your people. One of the things that we did in the February newsletter was had people reply back simply the word heart. And if they did, there was a Heart Health Essentials guide that you would send to them for free that I didn't charge anyone for. It's a free asset for you to take and for you to send out to your people. But it's a way to get the conversation going back and forth. Communication, connection, like Carolyn mentioned.
And Julie, I'd like to, we have the opportunity to come back and show some of those things, but I thought I'd see if there's some other input from some of the others of you who may have used some of these or have some experiences. Is there anyone else who'd like to volunteer their insights from using any of Julie's materials or wanting them? Well, if not, Julie, what if you do that quick demo? Pick a a flyer or a newsletter or something like that,
And go all
pull
the
up
way
the
through it?
screen share and
Sure.
show them how this can go out in a simple way.
Okay, so let me try to figure out where to go with this here. Let's go up here. Okay. So let's say you were to decide you wanted the February newsletter, the Learn to Live Well newsletter. Now you've got three options with that, and this is not a sales pitch here. I'm just simply giving you information and you choose the best option for you. One, you could purchase the newsletter 1 month at a time, and that's $24. If you wanted to save money, I'm all about saving money and getting the best deal. I would go in here and put in subscriptions, and you can either then get it on a month-to-month subscription, which brings the price down, or you can do an annual purchase, which brings your price down. Okay. So if you were to choose that you wanted to do the February newsletter, only way I can show you this is kind of go through my back office, unfortunately. So we're going to have to go this way around. Okay. So you would have, once you purchased it, you would see the files here for it. Now this month, because I love these audio podcasts and I really want people to start getting excited about them, I did an audio podcast of the, oh, it's not on the individual month. There's an audio podcast if you were to subscribe for the newsletter, which is really fun. It's an MP4 and it's streamable, meaning you can simply send it to someone, text it to them, and they can listen to it on the road. They don't have to download anything. Okay, but if you were wanting to download the newsletter, you always get it in a PDF, which means the full, all the pages document. And you also get each individual page in a PNG, meaning you can, if you wanted the page one for it, we're just going to do this real quick. You can download it. And here is page one of the newsletter. Okay, so you get all 4 pages in picture form. So then you can simply upload it into an email. And let me show you how quick that would be for you to do. So let's go to my Google. Carolyn, is it showing my Gmail now or is it
Yes,
still?
yes,
Okay.
it is.
Okay.
And this
So if
is,
you,
I think this is mind blowing because I'd never known the difference between the PNG and the PDF and why you would do one or the other. So I want to see this.
it really works well. Now, one thing I encourage everyone to do when you're going to send out your newsletter is make sure you've got your group contact list done. Now, some of you have a program that you use. Again, I use Gmail because it's free and I want to be able to demonstrate it for people in a way that doesn't cost them anything. So what I've done is I've put everyone in a contact list. So if I wanted to send out my customer newsletter, I would simply type in Shackley customer. Now all of my customers are in there that quickly. Okay. So then if I wanted to
And notice, you guys, that she sends it out as a blind copy. So
correct,
she's not giving everybody else each other's information, but it can go
exactly.
in the group as a blind copy.
Right. I always send it to my personal email. That's the one that shows, and then everyone else is blind copy. And then you would come down here. Now I just downloaded page one for it. You would type your initial little paragraph, whatever you would like to say. And if you are a subscriber to the newsletter, when you get an email from me on the morning of the first stating that the newsletter is ready, you can simply take my introductory paragraph if you want to and pop it in here. And then you would grab the picture. You can see I've been working on a lot of different things here. Here is page one. Okay, it's that simple. And then you would, if I had downloaded right now pages 2, 3, and 4, you would type in page 2. You'd put page 2 the same way, and then you send out your email. Literally in 5 minutes, your
So
newsletter is out.
literally show them, Julie, go through the other step. So you've got your page one, for example.
Mhm.
You've got your email opened up in Gmail. You've got the addresses in as blind copied. Show them the last step of pulling it in and what it looks like.
Then it's basically done. I'm gonna put another page in here real quick, just because, and I know it's not the appropriate one for the newsletter, but it's from something else that I had up recently. So let's do, been working, okay, here's part of my leaders newsletter. Okay. So that would be page 2. If I had them all right here ready to go. So then you can see as you go through your newsletter, page 1, page 2, that's my newsletter for my business leaders. And then I would simply hit send, and your newsletter is done for the month. Now it's the same thing with any of my other tools, whether it's an individual product sheet or legacy solutions. You would always have the PDF and the PNG. If you wanted to send the whole document as an attachment, then I'm just going to grab here. Here it is right there. That's my December one. So now, and Carolyn had the idea of putting just page 1 in the body of the email and then attaching the rest of it. So it's kind of like the cover of it. So that is downloading from my documents, and there they go.
See, I had never figured out that the PNG is what could be inserted directly into the email, rather than just having it be an attachment, which is what the PDF does. So this is like mind-boggling to me and so simple.
Because some people do not want to open an attachment. Some people are either worried about it being a corrupted file. So this is a really simple way to do that.
Well, not only that, but you're opening this on a laptop or on a computer. And for many people, they're going to be opening it on their phone.
And they can just scroll right down the newsletter, scroll right down it, just like you would if it was a Macy's, thing that you got, something from Macy's, or a Kroger thing. You can scroll right down it and see everything without having to open an attachment. Does
Julie,
anybody have any? Oh,
I'm sorry, what if someone replies to your email? Doesn't everyone get that reply?
no, it only goes to me.
Okay,
It would go to everyone if they hit reply all, but I don't think it would though, because they're blind copied. It just goes to me.
okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey
So
guys, tell me this isn't cool. I mean, is this like really helpful? I just think it's great. I hope it is for you too.
and I think we can all have some guilt if we've not been as in close contact with our people as we should have been. So then we think, well, I don't want to start. Jan, I saw that face. I saw, you feel guilty, so therefore you don't take the next step because you're embarrassed that you haven't taken that step, right? So it's as simple as writing an email saying, hey, I'm so sorry that I've not been in contact with you as much as I should have been. That is going to change. Here's what you have to look forward to. Twice a month contact from me, potentially a phone call during the month, but I want to be here to help you on your journey to health and wellness, whatever you choose to say.
So the legacy newsletters, I'm looking at them. So each one you buy individually. Is that
Each
it?
of those are individually, again, because that way you can just buy whichever ones you're interested in. Maybe there's 3 that you're thinking, I'm not interested in the sports nutrition one. Or I don't really need the children's nutrition one. You can go in and buy those individually, and those are $10 a piece individually. Or if you want the audio podcast, again, I think those are super fun. People have kind of we need to get used to things like that. Those are just a little additional $5 for that.
So
But
they're 15 then,
with the
is what you're
podcast.
saying.
Mhm.
And you mentioned something about the regular newsletter, the Live Well newsletter. The only thing I see is $24.
Okay, let me show you where to find, if I may, the subscription for that. So if you go to Learn to Live Well and you type in here subscription, you'll see right here, these first 2 are Canadian, because I do have people in Canada, and theirs is slightly different. It's edited to be appropriate for their products. So if you just type in here subscription, you'll see the annual for the US is $210, or monthly is $20.50.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anybody else have any other questions on that? Again, I just think it's important to build connection with people by reconnecting, even if we've not been as diligent as we should be. There's no reason to not jump back in and just check in and find out what's going on in their life, find out how they're doing, and then be able to bring up the conversation of what's new with Shackley.
Hey, Julie, this is Scott.
Hi,
Could you
Scott.
do just a quick little sample of one of your audio pieces?
Sure, I'd be happy to because I think these are so fun. Okay, let me play. Okay, do you want to hear the Heart Health Essentials or the newsletter for this month? Let's do
Heart Health
Heart
Essentials.
Health Essentials. Okay, let's see. Hopefully you'll be able to hear it. I don't know if I'm optimized for sound.
All
Let
right,
me,
I want to start today with a little visualization. If you're not, driving or something, just take a second. Picture your heart right now. What do you see?
I'd be willing to bet most people, probably 90% of people, are picturing a pump. A red sort of fist-sized mechanical thing. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release.
That's exactly it. It's the cartoon heart, but with like tubes sticking out of it. And that makes sense, right? That's the definition we all learned in school. It just moves blood around. It's plumbing.
It is plumbing, you're not wrong. But we're looking at this guide today, the Heart Health Essentials Guide. And it makes this case that the whole pump metaphor is actually holding us back.
Holding us back how?
Well, if you think of it like a car part, you just kind of ignore it until it breaks down. Then you go to the mechanic, the doctor, and hope for a fix. But this source, it defines the heart as something much more. It calls it a dynamic energy system. And this is the phrase that really got me. A vital communication center for the whole body.
A communication center. That sounds like it's sending text messages.
In a biological sense, it is. It's sending signals,
Yeah.
pressure waves, hormones, electrical impulses to your brain, to your gut. It's not just taking orders from the brain. It's in a constant conversation with it.
So
does that kind of give you an idea of how they sound?
Mhm.
It's fun,
Excellent.
isn't
Thank
it?
you.
I think they're so fun. And it's the same. I need to name them. I've not named them, but I think it's the same two people every time. So the more you share these resources, there's continuity, right? It'll be familiar with them. So it's just kind of a fun new way. And with people being so busy these days or wanting to listen to a podcast while they're driving, while they're cooking, while they're cleaning, it's a great way to educate them about Shackley. And it kind of shows that we're kind of with it and hip, which is fun.
Julie, do you send those like along with whatever physical flyer or
Mhm.
whatever would be, and they have a choice to either look at it and read through it or listen to the
Yes.
podcast? Okay,
Yep. That way they can go back and reference it later, right? They
got
can
it.
go back and look at it. They've got the documentation in front of them, or they can look at that later when it's convenient for them for reference. And then they can always re-listen to that audio podcast. And with that purchase, you can send that audio podcast to as many people as you have, that you want to send it to. There's no limit to how many people you can send it to. The only thing that I ask is that it not be one organization that buys it and gives it to the whole organization to
Mhm.
use. It should be for you to use with your customers, because obviously there's time and effort that goes into creating this.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Julie, it's
I'm
Dean. I
so
have a quick
impressed.
question, and
Exactly.
my camera's not working.
Hi, Dean.
The if you get the subscription for
Mhm.
the regular newsletter, does that include the podcasts for it, or is that a separate subscription?
There actually typically has not been a podcast every month for the newsletter. I did one this month just for fun, but it could be something. It's coming in the future. It's not going to be a consistent every month, right? But right now, for the month of February, if you are on the subscription, the audio podcast was free. And quite often, I will throw up an audio podcast in with things. If you go back and look at some of the things that are in my store, you'll see it includes free audio podcast. Just because I want people to get used to using that tool, it's a great way for you to connect with your people.
Okay, so the subscription is for 12 months as opposed to a calendar year?
It's correct. If you were to subscribe today, you would get February's newsletter, and then it would go all the way through the end of January next year. Mhm.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. But they are always up and available by 10 o'clock in the morning of the first, usually earlier than that. But I promise you it'll always be by the 10th. And the only time it may vary would be if I'm concerned that Shackley may change the special last minute. I don't, which has been known to happen. So if it's not totally sure what the specials are, I hold off on uploading it till I'm 100% sure, so that you're not wasting your time sending out something that's inaccurate. Any other thoughts or questions?
Okay, guys. Do you see this as like totally awesome? I mean, give me some, give some thumbs up. I mean, isn't
Thank you,
this
Carolyn.
great what Julie's done and doing? And we have so many options to figure out how to take advantage of it. And I give credit to you guys, Barb and Lisa, and you guys who have already been way ahead of us on this. So, do you have any other experiences that you'd like to share with what you've done already or how it's worked for you? Maybe, Barb, you've got maybe a little bit more.
You are muted, Barb.
I don't think so. I have bought some of the things that I'm not sure they're the same that Lisa have, but some of them I had put aside for when I could take time to really look at them and start going through them and using them. And I haven't done that. The primary thing I've done is with the flyers. And so, I see that there's an awful lot more. And once in a while, when I get something from Julie, I will go in there and I'll just kind of look around, but I don't take the time to go through the whole thing. Now I will, because I see all the advantages there.
Well, thank you. Let me just show you briefly what the product sheets look like. And again, there's no charge for these. It's just something I started doing as kind of my gift to the Shackley field because I want these old products to stick around. So like here's the herb, oh, see Herblax, that one does not include the podcast. There was an Herblax one. I didn't, okay, hang on. Product sheet. Okay, there's a lot of them on the Modere products, okay? And anything that I've done in Modere is free. Feel free to grab it. The only time there's a charge is if I've added an audio podcast. So here you see the liquid biocell with audio podcast is $10, but otherwise it's free. Then there's Burn, Curb, and Sculpt, Trim and Smooth, Herblax. There's vitamin E. You may want to watch if it says CA, it's for Canada. Just their products are slightly different in some cases. Vitamin E, Herblax Core Energy. That one has a podcast.
They
Paratomax.
look great. Those look awesome.
Well, thank you, Lisa. That's very kind of you to say. Vitamin E, Carotamax, CoQ Heart. And again, you can just download those, send them out to your people, print them and put them in an order, whatever you'd like to do with them. But those, they're no charge. Obviously, I don't make anything on them, but it's my gift to the Shackley community, part of my way of celebrating our family's 50-year legacy. Because I'm just thankful for the Shackley family and the community that we have, right? We're very blessed with that.
Julie, I just think this is great.
Thank
I
you,
I
Caroline.
hope you all have gotten some value from this. I've really enjoyed the opportunity to be able to pick on some of these things with Julie and to see the value of them. Back to my three concepts of we know we want people to be healthier. If this kind of information is just another resource, that's great. We know we want people to have an understanding of finances. If some of these resources can be helpful, that's great. And we certainly understand the value of community and personal trust and how these can be very helpful. So I'm very, very grateful, Julie, for you sharing all of these. And I
Thank you,
think we're
Caroline.
fortunate that you're bringing your many talents to bear along with the heritage of 50 years in the organization.
Thank you, Carolyn. One last thing I would like to show, and I meant to show that
Sure.
earlier, is your idea. This was an idea that Carolyn sent to me, Health and Hope, about how to pay it forward and earn your Shackley products. What she's talking about tonight, right? So I'm going to show you what this whole thing looks like. It's just a fun little document that is in the store, talks about the Shackley legacy. This is a great asset that you can use to share with a prospect who says, I'd love to get some Shackley products, but I don't think I can afford it right now. Kind of talks about how they can earn it. What if you could help others and cover the cost of your own products? Simple steps it gives, and most of my guides will give very clear steps on what to do. That no one's going to walk away thinking, I don't know what to do. Okay. Why Shackley? Why now? Partner with your ambassador. And there's even a leader guide, a facilitator guide, if you're working with some ambassadors trying to help them grow, and then a closing thought. Next step, personalize your health. And then again, take concrete steps, figure out what your products are. 3 products you'd like to be able to order, but maybe can't right then. And then how to pay it forward. Who are some friends and what products they could recommend to them, a date to reach out, and a quick note on if you got a hold of them. So you can see, then there's the facilitator guide. So that was something that was a Carolyn Brain Trust that I was honored that she shared with me and was able to go ahead and create. But it might be something that's helpful for you with some people that you're working with right now in this economy. People have less finances available. This is a great way to kind of gently present to them how they can earn their products. There you go.
Great. Julie,
Which one
thanks
was
so
that?
much.
Which one
That's
was that?
called Health and Hope.
Hope. Okay.
Mhm.
Alan and Hannah, as my colleague masters, along with Barb, any comments or thoughts from you guys? Alan and Hannah? Hello, hello? They're probably in the website.
And they're shopping. I will say I am always available to you. If you ever had a question about one of your purchases or not sure how to use it, you would be able to get a hold of me. There's contact information on my website, and I respond usually very quickly and will help you in any way that I can for you to succeed in Shackley, because that's what it's all about, right? Working together as a Shackley family.
That's great. Julie, thank you so very much for honoring us with an hour plus of your time and for sharing these great resources. And I hope all of you, along with me, are happy and feel like it's been really valuable. So thank
Well,
you
thank
so
you.
very much. And there is a recording of this that will be available. Scott will make available in a couple of days. It's available on opastuff.org. And when he gets it edited and cleaned up, this will be available for anyone who was not with us. But you can go back. You want to one last time just repeat your website address?
Sure. It is learn to live well dot sellfy SELLFY .store. Now, I would just say if you are interested and you go on there and purchase something, please click on the button that says subscribe. And Barb and Carolyn and Lisa can tell you, I don't bombard you with emails, but I do send out an email whenever there's something new. And then it's your option if you choose to go and download it or not. But that way you'll be informed of the latest thing. So if you don't subscribe there, I have a hard time communicating with you to let you know what's available.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks again so much, Julie.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Go have a powerful evening, and thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
The OTA family.
Good
Thanks.
night.